A U.S. judge has delivered a potentially major blow to Donald Trump as he seeks to use the Justice Department to prosecute his political enemies. Separate criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James have been dismissed. The White House slammed the decision and said the rulings would not be the final word on the matter. For more on this story, our international affairs editor Douglas Herbert joins me on set. Hi,
How are you,
Doug.
Karis?
The judge then said that these indictments were unlawful. Why?
Yeah, basically because the interim attorney, the acting U.S. attorney who secured these indictments, and let's be clear, one attorney did two indictments, two very high-profile indictments, one in a criminal case involving the former FBI Director James Comey, the other in a case involving the New York Attorney General Letitia James. Basically, what the opinion said was very straightforward, that the indictment was secured by a prosecutor, by an attorney who was unlawfully appointed. That is, the attorney who secured the indictments was invalid in the post. That Donald Trump had installed this person because she was a loyal ally. She's a former insurance lawyer who had been a Trump aide in the White House, had absolutely no prosecutorial experience prior to being appointed. She was hastily installed in the post with one objective: to do Trump's bidding, which in this case is his retribution, which you said at the outset here. Look, there is the opinion in this case. The judge. Her opinion reflected a sentiment among the critics of Trump's use of the Justice Department to go after opponents, that Donald Trump, since the beginning of his term, has simply wanted to see his opponents, his perceived enemies, people that he feels are against him or don't agree with his political agenda or approach. He has wanted to see them indicted. He doesn't care how they are indicted, and he doesn't care what for they're indicted. He wants to simply see them indicted. And so the judge says the mechanisms that he has used, as she sees it, the extreme measures to which he has gone to secure these indictments do an end run, in a sense, around the rule of law in the United States, around checks and balances in the United States, against the Constitution, in a sense. It's anti-constitutional in the sense that these attorneys they have to be Senate approved. They have to be voted on by the Senate. When an attorney general appoints a U.S. attorney of this kind, they have 120 days. You can only be an interim, an acting prosecutor for 120 days. Then you have to usually have a district court agree on a replacement, and then the Senate has to confirm them. In this case, Donald Trump replaced the previous acting attorney. The previous one had also been an acting attorney after the 120-day limit was up, after he had shown that he had objections, that he saw no evidence to pursue these cases. He says he looked into them and basically went back to the Attorney General and said, I've looked, I see no evidence to pursue these cases against either James Comey or against Letitia James. As a result of that, he was forced out of office. He essentially resigned, but he was forced out of office by Donald Trump, and this is where he was seen as running afoul of the rule of law. At that point, it should have been a matter of a lawfully appointed U.S. attorney pursuing these cases, which is not the case right now. The opinion then comes down hard on the mechanism by which Trump has essentially, as you said, weaponized the Justice Department using what is supposed to be a very separate branch from the White House. The President and Attorney General should be very separated. They should not interfere in one another's agendas in any way, or even have any sort of consultative roles with each other that have a political tint. But in this case, they have, and that is why the judge really threw these cases out. Now, threw them out without prejudice, which means that, yes, the government can refile, can appeal, which it has indicated it will do, but the caveat there being it would have to be appealed by a lawfully appointed attorney, that is, one approved by the Senate.
Well, then what happens next? I mean, James Comey says that he thinks the White House will still probably come after him.
Yeah, he did say that in a video. He said that he believes that this was motivated purely by malevolence and incompetence, this prosecution against him. The White House has made it clear that it sees this as ducking, as basically all of Trump's opponents and the judges stacked against Donald Trump, because Donald Trump sort of has, his hypothesis is that everything is a perpetual witch hunt against him. That this is just a means of shielding people who have done bad, done wrong, shielding them from accountability. The White House has sort of flipped the argument on its head. It's not Trump who is seeking a vendetta. It is these justices who have an agenda themselves that are stacked against Trump. Needless to say, like I said before, there has been the attorneys who have looked at these cases saw absolutely no legal basis. They said they were baseless cases brought simply out of a vindictive motive, apparently, and that they saw absolutely no legal grounds for pursuing them. The White House is going to appeal. They're not going to go quietly into the night. It doesn't mean that Donald Trump may be out. This is down, but he's not out. This is a setback to his agenda. I will just note this. Donald Trump himself, it's not me saying he has a vindictive agenda. It's not me saying that he is seeking retribution against his enemies using the Justice Department. He himself said, he laid out his motivation when he was campaigning in 2023. He was at a Conservative Party conference, and he basically said to the people, I am your justice. I am your warrior. If you feel wronged or betrayed, I am your retribution. So he very clearly telegraphed, signaled to his supporters, if elected, I will be your tool in pursuing retribution against those you feel are doing you wrong. So it's not, when critics say that this is a vindictive president who is who is out to punish his enemies and using all the tools of government at his disposal, that is something that Donald Trump himself, willfully or not, but in a very demagogic way, signaled to his own supporters when he was campaigning back in 2023, when he launched his bid to regain the White House.
All right, Douglas Herbert, thank you very much for breaking down that story for us.